Okay, this is the August 25th, 2021 meeting for Bridgewater's Community Preservation Committee. Just have to read a disclaimer. The meeting will be recorded and made here live. All attendees are muted, excuse me, upon entry. The host will unmute the guests during the presentation, hearing or citizens' comment agenda items. Questions during the meeting can be submitted in the chat area to be addressed by the chair. Attendees not adhering to the guidelines may be put on hold or removed from the meeting. Okay, call the meeting to order at 6:32. Just chair's announcements. Just well, the first one's not that quick, but we'll make it quick. Carlton and I met with the town manager, Michael Dutton, about a month ago. Just some questions that we had, some issues. First one, we talked about the Central Square Congregational Church deed restriction, which we'll talk more on that, but further into the agenda under old business. But we did discuss that. We talked about grant agreements and award letters for projects that are in process, the Pickleball Courts, McKelvin School, Memorial future projects. Like our question was, who writes the agreements or award letters? And it was that, I believe, and Carlton can correct me if I'm wrong, that it's usually either community economic development in conjunction with the town manager's office, but they would be more than happy if we would help out and write some of them. Did I get that right, Carlton?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think I've developed a template so you can fill in the template for the most part, and that will be the starting point.
Right. Okay, good. We talked about administrative help. If there's any change to how we worked with Josh, since he now works full time for the town. Before, if I needed anything, I would write to Josh and he would do it, and he would, just submit the hours and we'd pay him out of our part-time fund. I asked if there's anything different, and Michael said, no, we should just continue to do that like we've been doing. I asked Seniors if it was work Josh did for us, like before he was with the town full time, that we paid for him to do the things. So I asked if we would be charged for time that he spent doing things for us, and Michael said no, it would just be part of his charge for what he did during the day for us, and we wouldn't be charged extra. We asked about the oversight of CPA funded projects, who oversees them. In the past, it's been way back in the past when I first got on the CPC, it was, I think I've said before, each project had a liaison, and that liaison oversaw and approved bills and things. For liability reasons, Michael thinks that it should, Jason Rollins, Attorney Rollins, feel it should be the town, just for liability if somebody gets hurt checking the project. For insurance wise, we wouldn't be town employees. We also have different thoughts on that, and we need to further talk with that. But what came out of the meeting with Michael is that it would be a combination of the CPC and his office or community and economic development. The next thing was, we talked about the housing trust funding from McKelvin School purchase payout. Carlton can probably definitely explain this better, but the question came up on supplantation and to put the $650,000 into affordable housing instead of into capital, as the town is doing. Carlton, do you want to add more to that?
I'll do my best. We met back in July sometime. According to Michael, the law said something about that kind of money had to go to capital improvement fund. But I feel like that's not right. That's not the right place to go. So we agreed at that point that he would be checking out a little bit more detail on what flexibility, because we had suggested that possibly we could submit something requesting that money be moved from the capital improvement to the housing trust. And if that were the case, then it would be moving money out of what could be capital improvement and the possibility. So the bottom line is he's looking into it and we haven't heard back yet.
Okay, good. Thank you. Just writing something at the same time. We questioned the town liaison to the CPC. It's Jennifer Burke right now, but many Wednesdays she's involved with zoning board of appeals meetings. So we said now that Jasmine is, I think it's Jasmine is full-time with Jennifer's office. That Josh Accountant can correct me if I'm wrong on if it's not Jasmine. That possibly she could come to our meetings if we feel that we need, like the town's presence, right, answers or participation into a discussion. And Michael said he would look into that. We talked about some documents that we're revising and updating that may require the town manager and or town attorney to review. Policies and procedures, the application, the pre-application eligibility form, standardized grant agreements and standardized award letters. And as Carlton said, he was working on a template for those based on what Jen Golson had sent us for samples. Other discussion items item that came up at that meeting was for the future, a portal with the town for documents, so everything's in one spot. So it's not like I get it, I send it to Josh, he sends it out to everybody, we get something back. There's one spot for everything, and that's in the future. And that was it for that meeting. I have no other announcements, so we can move on to citizens open forum. If we have anything from, we have a few others here. Anything from, I'm sorry, Carlton, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just going to say, if nobody has any comments now, we tend to run a fairly open meeting, so we can
Right.
have a dialogue.
Right, good, thank you. Okay, next is approval of the minutes from June 23rd. It seems like forever ago.
Gina Gordon.
Yep.
Gordon.
Okay, I just want to point out as a member of the church, even though I'm a trustee, but speaking as a member of the church, I have a concern. The church will be providing a deed restriction on the entire church, even though the church is only getting money to cover the steeple. Now, should we require repairs in other parts of the church, like the windows, which were in very, very bad shape? We may not be able to restore them to the historical condition that we'd like to. So I just want to point that out, that the deed restriction is covering the whole church, but we do not have money to repair the whole church.
Okay. Okay, good point, thank you. Okay, so you're saying the windows, and that's a good question. If they're not being restored to the historic level and they're basically just being fixed. I think my initial thought, and it's not written in stone because I'd have to think more on it, but my initial thought is that if it's just fixing the windows but not restoring them historically, that they wouldn't be eligible for CPA funding.
I'm pretty sure they have to be historical accurate in order for them to do anything with the windows if they were gonna go that avenue.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Let's just take that as a question and pursue it, because I don't think any of us know the real answer right now. And I'd rather
Right.
just
Yeah.
take it
That's
as an
right.
action item.
right. That's why I said that was my initial thought, but don't write it in stone because I'm not positive, but we would have to look into that, but we will go ahead and look into that. Okay, back to the minutes of June 23rd.
Motion to approve the minutes, Harry.
Kevin Mandeville, second.
Okay, any discussion?
It looked good.
Okay, I thought so too. Hearing none. Roll call, Josh?
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Jean.
yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, next is the financial reports. And I apologize, I just got them this afternoon, so I just sent them out a short while ago. Josh, if you could put them up on the screen. Did you see them? They were just emailed.
Yeah, just one moment here.
Okay,
Yeah, no worries, Gina. I had enough time to read them personally. It was enough time.
okay, good. But just for ones that didn't, we'll just
Which-
put them up quickly, but thank you.
Which
And again-
document did you want me to open, Gina?
Either one first, because we'll look at
Do the
both.
do the revenue to budget actual, the budget to actual.
Yeah, that's the most important bit, I think, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
give me just a moment here. Just resizing it.
Take your
Okay,
time.
and on the agenda, it says July 31st, but the most recent they could give me was June 30th because they're still working on closing out the fiscal year, so they haven't run the July 31st yet. So even though the agenda says July 31st, it's really June 30th. And I'm sitting outside and there's the ugliest bug on my table.
But so looking at the top sheet on the revenue to budget actual, the very excellent good news that we see there is that in total, we have about $174,500 in change that are positive and available. And I forget what we have to do. I think it goes to the undesignated fund, but I'm not sure. That's why we were changing things, but that's the good news. The question I had on it was underneath the expense to budget actual, the
Mhm.
McElwain redevelopment, 589,000.
Yeah,
It's
Josh, I'm sorry, Josh, can you scroll it up, please? Okay, I'm sorry, Colin, go ahead.
no, I'm looking at the actual thing because it's bigger on my
Okay.
screen.
Okay,
So underneath the McElwain project, 58,900, it says the original budget was $1.345 million. And the 2021 actual is 1,210,000. Did you get any explanation as to what's the difference and why the 135,000 is still available?
I haven't, I just looked at it quickly this afternoon too when I got it. But I will look into that for our next
Yeah.
meeting for that.
Because one of the questions I had on that one very quickly is that part was that 1.21 million, is that a result of the purchase and sales signing or some other factor? And do we actually have the $135,000 available to us, or is it something that's going to be encumbered later?
Right, my thought was the 1.2 was what was paid out for the signing. Paid out
Well,
at that. But it is a very good question. about the 135,000 that's left, so I will question that too. It was actually Laurie Greetney who sent me this, per Tony, so I'll just write to the two of them and just ask them what it is.
That's fine for the next meeting. And basically, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to drop numbers into the template for the McElwain redevelopment. Because one of the things I know, this is a little off topic, is they don't have a sign crediting the Community Preservation Act with the money. And that's a requirement that we would have to have in that grant agreement. So I'll not
Okay.
belabor it, but that's just, I noticed that very immediately on that one.
Okay, Counsel, when I find out, I'll let you know so you can start plugging the numbers in, and I'll report back to the rest of the committee at our
Right.
September meeting.
You can send me the individual information, but we'll have to discuss it at the next meeting.
Right. Okay, any other questions on that sheet, or if not, Josh can put up the other. Okay, I guess Josh, you can just put up the other one, please.
Okay. Give me just a moment. I'll resize that one too.
Okay. And I'm sitting outside and I hope the train doesn't go by. If a train goes by, I'm just gonna mute myself real quick. Because I'm close to the train tracks. So if I go silent quick, it just means that there's a train going by.
No worries, Gina.
Okay. Okay, and this is,
Balance sheet.
yep. Okay, it shows what we brought in, what we have left in the pots. Josh, can you scroll down, please? Or I always say it backwards.
That's also at the end of the fiscal year. So that's as of June 30th of this
Correct.
year.
Correct. Okay,
So it looks to me like in that balance fund, we must, that's 2.4 million, and basically the 1.2 million we just talked about appears to have been taken out now. So it's been sent somewhere from appropriated to spent.
right.
And
And
that was for the McElwain School, right? For that one point, for that.
I believe so, yes.
right. And I think there is part, not, I think there's part of the form that showed what was actually paid out in each pot. Was that, Josh, can you scroll down? I'm not sure if it was on this one or the other one. Or up, it must have been
That's
the
all there
other.
is to it.
Okay, did the other one have a second part to it?
I can check.
The
Just-
previous one had two different ones,
Right.
but we went over both of them.
Oh, we did go over both, okay.
Yeah, what this means is that it looks to me like there's something amongst all the available funds and that kind of thing, that we have about $2.4 million in the available to us for various projects.
Right, if you want to, we can review it now, you can look at, it just shows what was paid out this year for McKelvey now, what is my, the academy building, big projects like that are bonded. It just shows the payments to that, shows how much we paid out for administrative expenses.
Gina, and also Gina, remember we said we had a very high positive number on the income side last year. That hasn't been distributed as far as I can tell. But could you ask them when they would be distributing those unspent money, where we send them to, so we can talk about it at the next meeting?
Yeah, okay. I guess I spoke too soon for the train. But
All right.
And just to be clear, everything in the red is what's going out of the budget, correct?
I can never interpret this stuff.
it's,
Because like on the top of it, like where the assets are, that's the
Right, that's the
2.4 million.
right. I want to
And then
say
it's,
that's what we have left in those pots, even though it's in red. like under the fund balance, I call them pots, the town calls them funds. It just shows what we have in each fund, the open space, historic, community housing. That's what we had in it, less anything that was paid out.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that's the remainder, that's the
Yeah, and it
remaining
is-
number.
As
Right,
of June 30th.
right. It is confusing that it's in red, because usually in red is a payment.
Yeah, of course, if someone's in business, everything's in red, it's a negative number.
Right. Municipal government accounting apparently is reverse of that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
Boy, that's confusing to me, oh my God.
you're right.
Just for that.
okay, any other discussion on the financials?
Let's request that the finance director or someone who can represent what we need to do in order to get the leftover funds from FY21 distributed into FY22, if they have not been.
Okay, we will.
Yep. I agree as well.
Okay, I'll just make a note of that. Hold it. So that, of course, my pen decides not to write. There we go. So the FY21 balance funds.
Goes into FY22.
Yes, and I don't know if we have to vote on it or what. I can't remember what the policy says.
Okay, I know we had said we have to, but it's more once the budget's done for the next fiscal year.
Right.
Right. We were going to bring it up in December again, because we can move money at that point. So we have to remember that too.
Right, but this is closing out from last year, carrying over, and the December meeting is to look at the FY22 income versus estimated income.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, what I'm checking on is the FY21 fund balances moved into FY22, correct?
Yeah, and if they're reflected in this June 30th, yes.
Okay, I believe it just gets moved over, whatever's left, but I will double check that with Tony.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as there's no extra like money like left behind, because I think we want to get that squared away before our December meeting, before we spend anything, of course.
Right. Right. Okay, good questions, and I will look into those things. Okay, if there's nothing else in regards to the financial reports, we can move on to old business. Project updates. We had some, Barbara can talk more on it, but we found out that, well, she found out, let us know that Brian Pfeiffer has terminated his contract with the church, returned the retainer for a few reasons. One, he and Barbara can talk more on this.
Personally, I don't think, Gina, we need to go into all the details. He terminated it.
Okay, that's fine.
For cause on his side, so.
Right, okay. So,
That's kind of a private thing. That's
Right.
kind of
No,
a
it's
personal.
it's not personal. It's just that he terminated it, and the reasons, we don't need to get into it because we can't do anything about it. Neither
Right.
can the church.
right.
Yep.
So we spoke to Jen Golson, who gave us just for her thoughts on it, if there was somebody else she thought could do it. She gave us a name, and it was the organization, it was PAL. It was Public Archaeology Lab out of Pawtucket, and she gave us a name. Barbara tried to get in contact with that person, was given a different name. The person has agreed to take over. We'll let Barbara talk some more on that.
Okay, the woman who is going to take on the deed restriction, her name is Virginia Adams, and she's with the Public Archaeology Laboratory. And so we had a lengthy conversation on Tuesday, And I sent to her by email everything that I felt was pertinent with Brian Pfeiffer, his paperwork that he has done. And I also gave her a history of everything that we've done in the past 2 to 3 years before we even worked with CPC. So she knows the whole background of everything, and she's willing to pick up where Brian Pfeiffer left off. So I'm leaving this Friday for a few days vacation in Alaska. And while I'm away for that week, she's going to review all the paperwork. And as soon as I get back, I'll be in touch with her again. And then we'll probably meet in person.
This is Carlton, quick question. Did you guys talk a bit about the a deed search, and from a lawyer, will they do that deed search?
No, we did not, because Brian Pfeiffer, he said to me, it may be approved with the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and I may not have to spend the money on the lawyer. But I was thinking if it is not approved, then it would just take longer, and I would have lost probably a couple of months of time. So that's why he was encouraging us to spend the money and have an attorney review the footage of and I didn't do that. That was one of the reasons that Brian didn't work with us anymore.
But my question is if you didn't have a chance to ask her if she concurred with that, it might get through Mass Historic.
Oh, I did explain that whole thing to her. And she wants to look over all the paperwork first, and then she'll have answers for me next week.
Okay, so next week she should.
Yes, the best way to proceed forward, that she
Okay.
would direct us. Yeah, I gave her the whole story, everything.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't delay you anymore by having something
Yeah.
being put in, and then it doesn't,
Yeah.
if the deed
Well, I
restriction.
gambled. I was
Well,
gambling, trying to
is
save
good.
some money. I told her that the church has spent $108,000, and all we have is 12 inches of paperwork if we stack it.
Mhm.
Nothing's been done physically to the church. But I'd like to address that point that Gordon brought up earlier. What he's saying about the deed restriction, at this point, phase 1 has been approved and granted money to the church by CPC. So that was for $200,000, and we're getting the deed restriction now. So what happens if we put in for phase 2 and phase 3 and we're not approved? Then we would have a deed restriction on the church for just, 1/3 of the project. And I think that's the point he wanted to make.
Right.
Well, we don't have
Understand.
trains, but we have grandfather clocks.
And they're in tune.
Yep,
Yeah.
I love the clocks. I love hearing the bell.
yeah,
in
we
the center of
have
town.
Michaels too.
So
Well, I personally don't, but
So
rest
did I
of the
explain that right, Gordon?
Yes.
Did- Okay, so
Yeah,
that was
and I
the
think-
concern.
I think we should take an action that we would check with our town attorney about that, what that restriction means. Is it just for the steeple area, or is it for the whole church? Let us pursue that with our town attorney.
Okay, because in order to even start, complete this process of the application, we have to have the deed restriction in place.
Right.
So.
Right, and it could be conditioned in some way, but let's let our legal department tell us what's the right thing, or what it really means, if you don't mind.
No, we want to clear this up right in the beginning, right now,
I hear you.
before we sign our signatures.
Good thinking.
How long would our legal counsel take to come up with an answer for her? You think?
We could ask him that it's urgent and important, and see if he could, he may be able to say it right off the top in a response to an email response. I'm not going to get into how long it takes a lawyer to do anything.
Well, it's kind of impossible for anyone to determine that, if someone's going to get back to us, but gosh, yeah.
I think he'll respect the process. He's been involved with the process. He actually reviewed the form, that kind of thing. So I think he's aware of it. So he should be able to answer as quickly, is my opinion.
Well, when we submitted the original application, it did involve the entire exterior of the church. And we just, we wanted to go one step at a time and divide it into phases because it was so costly. But if you go back to the original application, it does involve the entire envelope of the church, so.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to clarify, because the the grant award that we've worked on, I need to make sure, read the grant award, but I need our lawyer to answer whether or not it applies to the entire building forever in the future, or if it's a subunit of the church. Unfortunately, I think it's probably the whole church, but
Hmm.
let us find that out, please.
Okay. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I was thankful to find someone else to work with us for the deed restriction. And she seems like she's very easy to work with, and she listens to everything, and I'm looking forward to meeting with her. So I have a good feeling again.
I
Okay.
will tell you, I've had the pleasure of reviewing for some work that they did here in town on another project, and their writing is excellent and their depth of detail is excellent. So I think you found a good person.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
That's-
thanks, Jen.
that's-
She asked me how I found them, and I told her that it was a referral from Jen, and so she knows of Jen, not personally, but she knows of her good work. So she was
Great.
happy with that too, Ginny.
Great.
Good. And I apologize. I just got a call for an update on pickleball courts, and I jumped to that. So I'll watch the recording to see what I was trying to listen to both things.
I think-
I'll watch the recording to see what I missed, but I do have a question, and I apologize, Barbara, if you addressed this in it. Did you talk money at all? Like, will
No,
it-
we didn't. No, we
Okay.
did not. And you know what? I did not, I did mention what Brian had quoted for us as a price, but I
Mhm.
didn't mention that CPC was paying for it. I did tell her 6,500 because
Okay.
I forwarded, she wanted to see Brian's contract, and it's right in the contract.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, Gordon?
Yeah, I was curious to where we stand on the grant agreement.
It has
Well, the
been
grant-
written.
oh.
Go ahead,
Go
Jan.
ahead, Carlton. No, I was just gonna say, the grant agreement gets signed after the deed restriction is in place. Carlton has written a drafted a grant agreement for it, or actually, I think that Jen might have, but Carlton was working on it too, which thanks to Carlton and for his work on that. The grant agreement, as I said, gets signed after the deed restriction is in place.
But just to answer your question directly, a draft was developed, the town attorney and the town manager reviewed that draft. And I have taken what they reviewed and added some detail in terms of names and addresses and that kind of stuff. So it's basically at a point where the town attorney and town manager would do final review of it. So it's pretty much ready to go. So if we get the deed restriction done, I will promise you, I will push really hard to get that grant agreement in place.
We should like to see it, obviously.
It's up to Gina and the town manager, but I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, what you asked, Gordon, I'm sorry, it was a little muffled. Could you repeat your question?
I would think the church would like to see the grant agreement.
The draft of it, the draft.
Yeah, I see no problem with showing you a grant agreement. I can get it off to Barbara
Okay, thank you.
and to you folks. And I know, Barbara, you're leaving tomorrow for vacation.
Friday, I'm leaving Friday.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just for a week.
okay, good for you. Okay, yeah, we can do that. I see no problem with, as long as it's understood by the church that it's a draft.
We'll just insert the watermark draft if it isn't already there.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's good. Okay, anything
Good
else
question.
on?
Yeah,
Did you-
I just had one last thing. You know, when we started this project 3 years ago, we thought all the work would be done on the church for our 200th anniversary, which is this October. Okay, so anyhow, we have, I've planned with the committee, and Terry's on the committee, and we have reserved TJ Smith's Victorian House in East Bridgewater to have a banquet dinner. And everyone will be drawing some invitations. I'd like to send one to Gina that she could share with all of you on the CPC committee. And we're inviting each of you to come to that. We're all paying for our own banquet meal. So the church is not covering a meal for everyone. So I will send her the choices on the menu. There's 3 choices. And it's just a lovely setting over there if you've ever been there for an occasion. And so I'm extending an invitation to each of you on CPC committee too. Please join us that night. It's October 16th on a Saturday night, 5 to 9.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
One more question, if you would.
Yeah, what was that, Gordon?
Just one more question. Who do those see,
Yeah.
even though we haven't got a deed restriction or anything right now, if we want to make some changes to the church that right now, who do we contact? Like, I'm thinking of, we're considering changing the lights on the main door going into the church.
Are they exterior?
Yes, they
Yeah.
are exterior.
You need to go to the the Historic District Commission.
Mhm.
They have all say, since you're in the historic district of the downtown, they have all say over external things going on in that district. So those Bill
Smith.
Smith would be who you approach for that.
Mhm.
Is there a name of a person?
Bill
Bill,
Yes.
Smith?
Bill
Smith.
Smith. I can contact him for you, Gordon.
Okay, good. Thank
Is
you.
he at the
I-
meeting tonight?
no, I
He's
think he's
not-
on vacation.
Yeah, he had a previous commitment. So he was on at that tonight.
Oh, there's another thing. We were granted from DAR, Daughters of American Revolution, $10,000 grant. They gave us 1 year to use it or they take the money back. And we have earmarked it for the louvers up in the steeple. So we'd like to go ahead and have those louvers replaced. And of course, it would be, approved by Bill Smith when
Right,
they're
same
made there.
thing.
So, yeah. So if we don't
Mhm.
replace those louvers and some work done in just those windows, we'll lose the grant money. So I want to go ahead and do that.
I see no problem with doing that now, where it doesn't affect what's being done with the CPC money. Anybody else, Carlton or any other CPC person, Harriet, anybody have thoughts on that? Jean, Kevin?
When did you get approved for that grant? Was that pretty recent?
I sent it to Gina. Yes, recent. Would maybe
it
between
was
2 and
June.
3 months ago.
Yeah,
I sent it to Gina, and they gave us
Oh, okay.
1 year to the date to use the money. They've already sent us. It's for $10,000. They already sent us a check for $5,000, and when we complete the project, they'll send us whatever the balance is. If it was for 8,000 or 9,000, then they would send us the balance.
I
So-
think the process would be is get it done, make sure that whatever they do isn't going to interfere with some of the other stuff for it, that kind of thing. But I think then you would send us a letter to the effect that you did receive this money. That's a good faith thing to do because.
Oh, I sent it to Gina already.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, but
right.
I'm trying to get it. You send it to Gina, that's great. But when you do the project, send us an image, a picture of it being done. And then
Okay.
just, so if, let's say you you plan to use 10,000 for that under the CPA money, but now you've got $10,000 that probably would go to a slightly different scope. And we would review that, I think.
Okay.
That's how we've done it with the memorial building. We had a scope change. We granted money to the town. We had a scope change and they've sent us a letter saying they don't think that scope change would affect the cost. So all I'm trying to do is say we need to keep those communications in line.
And
Okay,
I believe too that it was when we gave the award to the church, it was, and I know it was in writing somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where, that I'd have to look back, that any grants coming in would lessen the CPA money.
oh, I remember
don't-
that.
I'll take a look at the grant award. I
Yeah.
don't believe that's it. I do believe the grant award would say could include this $10,000.
Okay,
So,
we'll look into it.
We'll check that out for you.
Right,
Okay.
because I know that's why we're encouraging so much the church to apply for grants. But we'll look into it to make sure.
The award was not contingent upon, I'm going to say the award was
Oh, it
200,000.
wasn't contingent, no.
We had no contingencies in the award that went through the town council that I'm aware of. We
Okay,
only said $200,000 to the church. When we knew they had to raise money, and I think we just asked them to let us know when they raise money.
okay. Okay.
I think we'll check it out.
Yeah, we'll look into it and let you know.
Okay,
Okay.
And just on the benefit of the church here, who will be responsible for going to the town attorney to determine the deed restriction parameters, and so we can get the information back to them as soon as possible?
We're doing it directly with our attorney. The town
Right.
is doing it with
Town.
our attorney.
Oh, okay.
The town is, we're working with our attorney to make sure any deed restrictions are in order.
Okay, I wasn't sure who was going to be the contact to the attorney from the committee. I was just curious.
Right, but if it's done the same way as when Brian Pfeiffer did it, he sent a draft of the deed restriction. He had questions for the town. CPC could answer some, Carlton or myself. And we sent it off to the town manager to be reviewed by him and the town attorney, and they did answer questions. There were also questions for the church that they answered. Then I would imagine we would see a final draft before it went to Mass Historical, or I would like to see a final draft. That it, when it goes to the Mass Historic. So our attorney has been involved. The church will hire, they don't have a attorney on call, on retainer, like the town does. So they would have
Sure.
to hire one. So if there are questions that do need an attorney on their end, they'll hire an attorney. If not, it's just based on what our attorney says.
Because ideally, the church wants to start doing construction this year, I take it. Correct?
Right.
last year,
Oh,
2 years
Right.
ago.
right.
2 years
Yeah,
ago.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so,
winter's coming pretty soon.
right. And
That's
they
another reason
can't
to get
start,
that.
right, they can't start work until the grant agreement is in place, which can't be in place until the deed restriction is in place.
And that's only our scope that we're funding. That
Right.
grant can be used.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Now, if there's other things that the church can do that wasn't part of the award or part of your phase 2 or phase 3, like there were things that initially CPC said those are more repair things, not restoration. I believe you can do your things that were designated as repairs that wouldn't qualify for CPC, even in phase 2 or 3.
Right, yeah, of course. I mean, I just on a personal note, gosh, I wish we could just give them an answer so they can use the $10,000 grant that's already given to them.
Right. No, they can use that now. once they clear the louvers with
They can use it for whatever they want.
Mhm.
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
designated by DAR for the louvers
steeple?
in the steeple, yeah,
Okay, then they
The
can
louvers in the
use it for
steeple.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
Mhm.
Will you start that soon?
Gordon
Or-
had
Well-
someone come by and give an estimate already.
Yeah, he's looking at it, but my question was the material and everything we're using. The wood that's up there is pretty sad. And I didn't know if we could put something different in, if we could use some kind of vinyl instead of the basic wood that would last for a long time. So that's why I wanted to know who I had to go to as far as getting approval.
Yeah, Bill Smith. So we'll work with Bill Smith on that, on the
And
material.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense. Yep.
there are materials that the federal government allows for this kind of restoration. So, and I am not privy to that and or knowledgeable of that, but I think there are some alternatives that are workable.
But I know everyone would like to get it done soon, because if you look at the steeple now, we do have
hear
two sheets of plywood up there instead of louvers. I mean, that looks pretty sad. But
Yep.
so we'll try to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, go for a more stronger material that's not going to rot. I think that'll be better done.
Mhm. Good.
Okay, yeah, that was just my question. Thank you.
Okay, anything, thank you. Anything else on the church? Okay, before we move on, can I just ask who it is for attendance purposes? It's on the cell phone.
Oh, I usually put my name for that, Gina.
Oh, no, we got you, but
That's
there's somebody else that just got
No,
on.
there
another
was
cell phone?
someone on, and
21.
when I was talking, it was a big buzz on it.
Oh.
I don't
But
know what happened.
but there's a 2155 last four numbers. Is that you, Barbara?
No, Barbara's, it just says iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
We
change
don't-
that
we
now.
just need to know who you are. That's all.
Right, the person who just logged in for 508-472-2155, could you identify yourself, please? Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. That was the one with the buzzing that just like was randomly buzzing.
Mhm.
Looks like they disappeared.
Nope, you're still there. Okay, well, moving on, Pickleball Courts, the most up-to-date update as of like 10 minutes ago. The Pickleball Courts were paved a while ago, and if you look at your financials, you see payments that went out for the Pickleball Courts. It was for the paving and the nets. The courts were painted maybe 3 weeks ago or so, 3 or 4 weeks ago or so. However, they were painted wrong. Not the fault of Park and Recs. It was the painting company painted it wrong. They still haven't repainted them. It's supposed to be done hopefully this week. Fencing, once that's redone, fencing was supposed to be done next week after the courts were repainted, but that's been put off a couple weeks. So they are still in process, just a couple of stalls on it, mainly cost, well, originally it was the backlog, the paving company got that done, that it was painted wrong. But it's well on its way. Everything is scheduled. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes through as scheduled.
And that repaint is no cost to the town or to the senior center, correct?
Correct. That was just Shelley handed the schematic to the
So I'm going to interrupt again. Whoever's on the phone, either identify yourself or hang up, please. Thank you for calling me that. We'd like to know who you are, though.
Okay, was that? Okay. Janet, Somebody just came on and says Hanson Farm. Would that be the phone number that was up?
You're muted.
No, Hanson Farm is separate. I don't know who that was.
Okay, okay, they're gone anyways, thank you. Okay, McElwain School is next. The purchase and sale was signed recently. They started work. I do have to say the building looks better now, even with what little work they've done. It looks like they're concentrating on the back, working out there, just what I can see from driving by. Carlton has worked on the grant agreement for that, or the award letter, grant agreement, I guess.
Grant agreement.
Right. I have to get it in my head which one goes to town projects and one goes to non-municipal. He's worked on that, as we said earlier. We're just gonna get clarification and he's gonna plug in the figures. We can get that signed. The town didn't do our grant agreement on the CPA end for the CPA funds. So we're doing that. And I thank Carlton for his work on that. To go through that and he'll put the figures in and we'll get that set and signed. Okay, anything else on McElwain School? Okay, forms for review. Josh sent out the applications, policies and procedures. I don't know if you had a chance to read them, but if you haven't, if you take a look at them, if you have any questions or comments, things you think should be added or not added, added, taken out or changed, you know, just in the next few days or so, shoot me or an email.
Gina, could I thought about this.
Sure.
Given open meeting laws, et cetera, and this goes to Josh a little bit too. Should we not have them send them to Josh? And then he would forward those comments to you?
I think as long as it doesn't go out to the committee for discussion, it doesn't violate the open meeting law.
Okay,
If we want to just be safe, I'm fine with having everybody send them to me and then getting them over to you, Gina. That's no problem.
Okay, that's fine.
could we do that? Because I just feel really strong about the open meeting and
Mhm.
serial violations and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Super.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So if you have any questions or comments and additions, as I said, things you think should be changed, just send it to Josh and he'll send it to me.
Gina, just one last piece. What I think we'd like to do is get your comments so we can get it. Any comments discussed, or Gina and I would then look at those. And then in the long run, you guys will approve that application. But we need to get the town's buy-in on the application also. So that's why we're trying to get the comments from you.
Okay,
The
so
train must
with
be
that,
gone.
I agree. I muted myself for the train again. One's the commuter train, one is the freight train, or it might be the commuter train going the other way. I apologize. Okay, so that's that. Next is Hansons Farm, old business. And yeah, updates on Hansons Farm, Carlton, Eileen, Janet, jump right in.
All I know right now is that we sent the pre-application for eligibility to Eileen, and she must be working on it.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I have quite a bit to report actually, but is Bob on? I know Janet's on. Is
Yep, somebody else is on.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Well,
Must be.
anyway, I mean, I'll go ahead unless somebody else wants to jump in first.
Can I just, can I just tell you, Bob doesn't have a microphone or video. He is on. So he
Okay.
might be communicating through me to go to you. So just bear with us, okay?
All right,
Okay,
all right.
Sounds
Well,
Love
good.
clicking.
that's good to know. Thank you, Janet. So
Yeah.
I met with, well, I've talked with David and Bob both multiple times, usually when I'm, getting vegetables or eggs or something. So that's been sort of informal. but productive nonetheless, because that's kind of the only way you get to talk to them. So and then I met with Michael Dutton and Jennifer Burke on August 4th. And we talked at length about this. And what I was looking for was their approval to go ahead and set up a meeting with Scott McFadden, who's with the Wildlands Trust, who I think I've reported before to this group is interested in working with us on this project. So we have a meeting set for September 22nd at noon. And there's going to be Bob had already agreed to that as any lunchtime in September. And after he came back from vacation, because I think he was in Maine last week when I was too. But anyway, that's a go. And Michael Dutton will be there, Jennifer Burke and Steve Sobel. They wanted all three staff people from the conservation department to be there. So basically, and we'll be meeting with Scott, Bob, and touring the property, because Scott has never seen it. And there's a lot of questions about even the parcels that are involved, et cetera. And I hope, Bob, if you're on, I hope you got that message from Mary Ann. When I was in Maine last week, I called and left a message for her about that time and date. Janet, just let me know if he confirms. So basically one thing we know, and I had talked with David, with Bob about is I know they have an appraisal. So the town needs to get an appraisal. And my understanding is that's something we will apply to CPC for funding. And that was what I was working on the application for. But I think at this point, what we also need to look into is the question of the survey. Bob tells me they have had a partial survey, but not an entire survey. And my understanding from the meeting with town staff is that that's going to be critical to move forward, is that we clearly identify all the parcels that the restriction would apply to and have a survey for all of those. And I think I mentioned to Bob, that would be something we would apply to CPA for funds for also. And he had some concerns about that. And honestly, I don't remember exactly why. And it's something I need to pursue with him further, unless he can explain to us, well, through Janet, what that is. Anyway, so that's kind of where it stands. I think this meeting on the 22nd will help us identify a lot of the issues that we need to clarify, who does what. I also raised the question with Michael initially that I thought we would be applying to the community preservation pot for a consultant to help us walk through this process. And he and Jennifer thought that town staff could handle this, that when this was done for the Murray Needs Farm, I guess, they were much more limited in the staff that were available to work on this sort of thing in that department, and that they think that they can get this done. And my understanding from Bob is he would like this done within 2 years. So I think that's all. I have. Yeah, I think that's it. And Michael was going to be getting estimates for the appraisal, what it would cost for the town to get the appraisal. And then we would be submitting the eligibility form. But again, I want to make sure that we are what we're asking for, whether it would be just the appraisal or whether we would be also be including the survey.
Okay, good. That meeting on the 22nd, if CPA people would like, could they attend?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Is it a
Okay.
walkthrough or is it Zoom?
Oh, no, this is just outside. This is outside. This is a site visit only.
Site visit, thank you.
Yeah, site visit only.
Right, if I couldn't make it, I would like to. I've just never seen the whole property to see what's involved in it.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to have a representative from your committee there. And Kevin, actually, are you going to be able to go? I hadn't heard from you as to whether you can make it or not. I sent you a notice of it. He's muted. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, I can make it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
For sure.
Okay.
definitely.
No, I have to say, if more than quorum is going to show up, we have to post it.
Right, and I'm not anticipating that, yeah. From open space, I'm not, it's just me and Kevin.
Right. I
But for
can,
this
I
one-
can check. Is there anybody else that's on CPC right now that's on this meeting that's interested that day?
I thought Nicole would be
I'm-
interested in going.
Well, you're going to go as open space. That way we're not in quorum.
Right. Harry, are you interested?
I'll go with conservation.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay, good, okay.
Actually,
I
if
would
we
like
all
to
go
go,
as
but
our
if I-
respective. What was
I
that,
would like to-
Colin?
Yeah, I would like to go, but if I'm going to put it over quorum, I will not go.
We
could
can
go
just, we
as
just,
our-
we just post it if it's over quorum, right?
Right, we can check. Jean, are you interested?
Am I muted? No. I don't know. What day of the week is it?
It's a Wednesday.
Possibly, but you know,
Okay. You guys can let me know. We can
And
always,
the other thing I think to consider is, I would think that there might be other opportunities to take a look at the property as we move forward with an application, because I think as we go on, you're gonna have more detailed questions. We're all going to. And so this is probably not a one-time visit. That's my guess anyway.
what
right,
was,
that-
what was the date?
September 22nd.
Yeah, at noon.
Yeah, okay.
Janet has her hand up.
Okay, I'm sorry, Janet.
Hi,
Hi.
Bob did not get that message.
Oh,
And you answered a question, because at first it sounded like you said the 27th, but now it's the 22nd you're talking
Yes.
about.
yeah, yeah.
And that was him on that phone, but he can't, you couldn't hear him, so he
Right,
hung up
okay.
the phone, and he doesn't have a mic on his computer, but he can hear you. And he said Carlton can always come as an individual if he wants.
Actually, I can't because I'm a member of the committee.
Yeah, okay,
I can come, but I want to make sure we're not violating open meeting.
sure.
Right.
But it is the 22nd, not the 27th. Okay,
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, I'll find out how many people from CPC are definitely going. And if it looks like we're gonna have a quorum, we'll just ask Josh to post it for us.
I just texted Bob to see if there was anything else, but I'll see if he,
Yeah, if he can tell us if he has anything he can convey about the survey, Janet, that would be useful. But if not, it doesn't matter. I'll follow up with him again soon.
okay,
So what I would suggest is the eligibility doesn't require you to have submitted anything for getting a survey done. My suggestion is that you submit that eligibility form post haste. Let us make that determination, because the earliest we can do it is at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Which is late September. I can't believe this is August already. And so that would delay things. So, but on the other side of the coin, precedent says this is eligible because we did it for the Murray Needs Farm.
Mhm.
So the other thing I suggest you consider is applying to the CPC to get funding to do that survey, because that comes out of our admin funds and it does not have to come out of the town council appropriation process. So we can approve that at the next meeting if necessary.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, that's, for some reason, Bob had some concerns about that, because that was my suggestion, that we would want to do that, but I need to follow up with him on why he was,
Yeah.
for some reason, uncomfortable with applying for funds for the survey per se.
Well, the town has to have a survey that they have. We have to
Right,
do a
yes,
survey.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
so-
Yeah, I understood that from my meeting, with Jennifer and Michael, that we need the survey.
And I'm not sure if it actually comes, it could well come just from the town manager saying, would you fund a survey? if it's critical in terms of time, I would suggest we could have a special meeting of this committee to approve it. I want to move this as expeditiously as possible. So those are a couple of options to look at.
Now, does it need two appraisals, one by the town and one by the Hansons?
Hansons have already done their own, but they won't, that's theirs. That's their private information, but the town needs one, yes.
Right. Okay.
So as soon
So
as,
the town would apply to CPC for the money to pay for
Right.
the survey.
Right.
Right.
so encourage the town manager to get an application in. Or
Mhm.
Steve Noble, whoever's handling this for the town.
Yeah,
And
the
we do have to
manager
have a-
town, Michael is gonna sign it, but again, I mean, I think it's worth figuring out a little more about this survey question so that we could apply for both of those issues and get it. I mean, I assume when we're submitting the eligibility form, it's not just, it's not the whole thing of the conservation restriction on the farm, or maybe I'm wrong about that. I assume it would be for a particular project being the appraisal and or the survey, and then later, when we know what the conservation restriction is going to entail, then we apply for that separately. Are you seeing that differently, Carlton?
The eligibility form strictly says, are you eligible for CPA money? Has nothing to do, and an estimate's there, which you can include, but it's a yes or no, you are or you're not eligible decision.
Okay, so unrelated to what we're asking to do at this point.
Right, and that's just pro forma at this point, but it's necessary. The funding for the town to do the survey that we're required to do has to come from the town manager. The Hansons wouldn't be responsible for asking for that town survey.
Right, yes, yeah, and what the application, Michael seemed to think would come from the town,
Right.
but I don't know, I mean,
Well, he can process however he wants, but you know,
Right,
if
yeah.
there's an urgency to it, we can also call a special meeting. If late September is fine for everything, we can do it all at one
yeah,
time.
I'm sure late September is fine, yeah, I mean, there's no urgency. I
And
think
he
we'll,
has to
we'll learn,
really,
we'll learn, the urgency is having the meeting where we get to talk about the issues and identify what else needs to be done, et cetera. And
right,
what,
and
you
that's 1 week before our meeting, next
Right.
meeting. So
Yeah.
That
Yeah, so
sounds,
that
that
should be
sounds
good.
like the right thing to do then, is get the eligibility when you want, and if the town manager gets an
Right.
application in, we'll go from there and we can move it forward the end of September. Is my
Yeah,
opinion.
I would think we would get the eligibility application in by your next meeting in September.
Mhm. Now, I'm trying to remember back to the eligibility form. Is it just the open space that would sign it, or all applications go through Michael and he signs them? Would
No,
he have
it's
to
our
come?
determination. The eligibility form is strictly ours. Michael doesn't have to sign anything there.
Right, but we're asking for
There's a-
information from open space, and I believe it shows his signature spot. I'd have to look back for it.
Yeah, well, I think it says project sponsor is the name, is the line, I think.
That,
So-
Right, but
I
we'll
helped
get
write it.
clarification on who actually. signed it.
I helped write it, and it's basically the applicant and whoever's sponsoring this application. Open Space is sponsoring it.
Mhm.
This is Janet, can I ask something?
Please.
Sure.
As far as the survey, Bob says it can be done this fall. He knows survey has to be done anyways, but he just doesn't, I guess he asks, I don't know why the town needs one. I think I do, but can you explain to him why the town needs to do their own survey? I would think
Yeah,
that would be the right way to do it.
I mean, I don't know that it's the town survey as much as it just has to be an accurate survey of the parcels at issue, because the deed restriction has to legally identify precisely what parcels are going to be subject to the restriction.
I believe
So-
it's a requirement. I believe it's a requirement of the law that the town has its own independent survey. Example, we paid for, on the Stiles and Hart purchase of 5 acres. The town paid for that independent survey, even though the owners had their own. It's a requirement based on Community Preservation Act. It's a requirement there. And so the town, it's basically saying it's protecting the town.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. That was his question. I'm
Yeah.
relaying messages.
Good, thank you.
But they've only done a partial survey of their own right now.
Right.
So, but it does make sense to do a survey, have the town, but also have our own to make sure that things match.
We should have apples to apples.
Yeah.
Carlton, did the town apply for CP funds for the Stiles and Hart survey?
What? Are you talking to me?
No,
There was money
as Carlton,
Henry knows.
I don't know if the town applied for that. I think they did the survey and then asked us to cover it or something, but
I think,
Okay.
I don't wanna go
yeah,
there.
and I think that was technically the survey can't be done till CPC approves the grant. And the award is voted on. It was included in their application, and I know it was a question if we could still pay it, but we knew it was coming, so we let it stay in there because we knew that they needed to do that. So we kind of gave we had given the verbal approval to do it. But technically, they should have waited for the whole application to be reviewed and approved, awarded.
right. But the right
that
way to
answer the
do it is,
question?
the right way to do it is to get the eligibility form and get a request in to get the survey done. That's a process question that we need to make sure we follow because we just need to do it. Enough said.
Right. I know it was an issue for Stiles and Hart too, about when the survey and appraisal were done in relation to when the application was put in. But because we knew it was coming, we knew it was part of the agreement, we let it go through, but technically everything should be approved before anything's spent.
May I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Sure.
On the 22nd, what exactly you guys gonna be doing when you come in on the 22nd?
we're going to be, Scott McFadden with Wildlands Trust has never been to the farm. So the idea was for him to get to look at it and see what the operation is, what the land is like. And so we will be doing a site visit. And then I think we will also be, hopefully, be able to sit down and identify what the next steps are, what some of the issues are. And I know, for example, from a couple of my conversations with David, at least, that, you know, there was some issue about exactly what parcels would be included. So we probably ought to have a good sense before that meeting even as to what we're going to be walking around and looking at. So I will talk with Bob about that. But then also, I mean, in addition to the site visit, I think just sitting down and talking about timelines, issues, what the next steps are while we're all there together, so.
Okay, and what was the name of the person you said for Wildland Trust?
His name is Scott McFadden.
Mick Fadden?
Yeah, McFadden.
Okay.
Or maybe there's two Ds, I don't know.
He says you guys could have some ice cream when you're there too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could pick corn.
Yeah, that's it. That sounds good.
Can we
Okay.
get a ride in the tractor by chance? I would like that personally. That'd be really fun.
I think
Let's
we
just
should
hope
feed
it doesn't rain.
we should feed the baby cows.
Yeah.
Okay. If
I
there's
just-
anything
Yeah, I
else,
just, yeah, he
Hansons
said you could
Farm?
have, he said you could have a hayride. I just asked him if there's anything else. So if he mentions anything, I'll raise my hand.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from CPC on Hansons? Okay, next is the meeting format. We've been Zooming for a year and a half, or close to a year and a half. Do we want to continue with Zooms? Do we want to meet in person? Do we want to do a hybrid? What are the thoughts?
Do we have the choice now to be in person?
I believe so, right, Josh?
So we do have hybrid rooms set up. I don't know if anything has changed. Right now, we're still doing just about 99% of all the meetings Zoom. I'm not sure if that's going to change with, as numbers go up with the new Delta variant, or, how the town manager is going to address that. If you'd like, I can get an official statement from them or ask for one.
Okay,
Josh, do you set up all the Zoom meetings for the other committees now with the town in general?
No, I do handle quite a few, but I don't do every single committee yet.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering what you do for the town too. But
Josh, you speak, go ahead, Eileen.
Yeah, I asked, we were going to have a meeting in July. It didn't happen because our Zoom connection did not come through, but I asked about whether we could meet in person, and Katie DeRozier said no, that they were able to accommodate only a certain number of committees at this point, and they were working on setting up systems that would allow greater access to non-Zoom and combined meetings for other committees, and that there would be some kind of a notice going out from the town manager's office when that became an option, but I haven't seen anything. And that was the third week in August that third week in July that I had asked about that, so.
okay,
And I
that's
think,
good. Thank you, Eileen. Josh, if you can check, because I know Park and Rec, the last 2 months, we've met in person, but I don't know if they cleared it with anybody or just figured that we would meet in person. So if you could clarify that, it might be good for our other boards too.
Okay.
Josh, another quick clarification. I know that I sent Michael a note because the last joint meeting that was held on the planning board and the CED committee of the town council, they have a single camera set up that you can see the whole big conference room. That never changes anywhere. You can't see the individual counselors, and you can't see the person who's actually talking at the podium. And that's very disconcerting to me. But so that would drive me to being in the Zoom meeting as a preference. But my question is the small room, conference room where we typically met, I don't know which one, it's 201A or whatever. Is that set up for networking and Zoom and that kind of stuff?
I would have to double check. It would be a similar setup where it is just one camera. If we wanted to do individual cameras, what we'd have to do is set every committee member up with a laptop.
That was my recommendation to Michael, that everybody gets a laptop.
Yeah, the difficult part of that is just making sure everybody realizes that they're muted most of the time. And just making sure that they're, hitting unmute and focusing the camera on them when they're speaking.
That joint meeting that was held, they had open mics. I could learn all about families and everything I needed to hear.
yeah, people don't mute themselves after they.
I can give you a hint on this. Conservation's already had a meeting, and we have a laptop so people on the phone can see us, and the meeting's recorded with the microphones. And we only have 4 members on conservation, so we're spread out. And there usually isn't that many people in the audience, so.
Where do you meet, Harry?
Right upstairs where the councilors were meeting.
Council's room. Yeah, I think that kind of setup for small committees is good. If we could use the small room and we could have a camera at one end of it, you could see most of us and we're fairly close. We're not at, 30 feet away.
And have it because that room is small, you may not want the audience So they should be on Zoom.
Good point.
Under the
Yeah,
circumstances.
I mean, that whole room is made for this whole scenario, is it not? All the cameras are in every corner and you can broadcast. I mean, it sounds like a perfect setup to me.
That was the idea. So go back to Gina's question. I prefer Zoom right now until this thing gets more under control.
That's my preference too. Anybody else, CPC?
I think it's a lot more convenient to have Zoom because you can just, it's very instant. But I wouldn't mind meeting in person at least once just to kind of try it out to see how it is. But I do maintain that Zoom is far more convenient for sure.
Jane, you planning board needs hybrid. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, well, it's good for the townspeople because they don't have to worry about trying to come out.
Right,
'Cause not
But-
everybody can.
the hybrid versus complete Zoom.
Yeah, but as I said, in the small room, where how many of us are there? And then if people came, guests came, now you've got more people crowded into that small room. And under the circumstances of what's going on, I don't think that's a good idea.
Right.
Even if we wear masks.
Yeah.
You're still close. That's a small room.
Right, and you could have up to 15 people in there at once. So that's just another argument. I like that argument also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
15 people would be awfully close.
Then maybe we should just play it safe and just stick to Zoom.
Yeah, that would be my thought for, especially with this Delta virus and not knowing if there's gonna be mask mandates, if there's going to be the distancing again, with so many unknowns, that my thought is to continue with the Zoom, at least for like just plain Zoom, at least for the next couple of months, but it's up to the majority here.
Do we need a vote on it or can we just have a consensus?
We could just have a discussion and decide. I don't think we need a formal vote.
2
Harry?
weeks isn't up yet.
Jane, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
2 weeks isn't up yet. It'll be 2 years.
Oh, did I say 2 weeks?
No, I mean, it was last March.
Oh, yeah.
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 We're on our second year.
Still waiting.
I must point out, I'm not sure if anyone else realized this, but when we first started doing Zoom meetings, everyone interrupted each other a lot more. And everyone's been very we're all gotten into the groove of speaking through a microphone, which is good, but I can't believe it's been 2 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt you on this, but I try to watch, because we have a small enough group, I try to watch faces, and if it looks like somebody's starting to say something, I'll back off. But if I do interrupt anybody, I sincerely apologize.
It happens to every one of us.
Gina, I can't see your lips moving right now.
Well, I'm still sitting outside and it's getting too dark, so all you'd see is, and I've thought of going into the house, but I'd have to carry in my pad of paper, so I'm writing in the dark.
Well, with that under consideration, let's get you out of the mosquito field.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the mosquitoes are
in-
really bad this time of year too.
right,
Yeah,
right. Are we, so far there's none. But I meant to take out my candle too, my anti-mosquito candle, and I forgot. So if you hear a lot of noise from me, it means I'm heading back into the house. But anyway, so are we in agreement, complete Zoom for the next few months anyways?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, sounds good. Okay, next thing is, I think I'm gonna have to go in because I can't see my paper. Okay, other old business. We talked a while back about, at our public forum that they had, the question came up from a few people about cemeteries. And I have another train. I think I'm definitely heading in. But we talked about cemeteries, and I was at my cousin's grandson's Eagle Scout project a couple weeks ago. And there was a man sitting at the table with us, and he was from the Sons of the American Revolution. And just talking to him, he was saying how they go out and they repair. He was from Rhode Island, but he said, you know, he imagines Massachusetts has the same concept. They'll go out and at no charge to the town, they'll go out and repair gravestones and things in old cemeteries, like the
Really?
historic ones. So I think
For
that's
free?
something that we can possibly look into in the future.
They do it for free?
That's what it sounded like. I'm heading in because I jinxed myself with the mosquitoes. So I'm going in. If I by chance hit a button to disconnect us, Josh,
Gina, while you're doing that, what I would say is, let's let the, what's the cemetery out by on High Street?
oh yeah, I know which one you mean.
Yeah, let's let them know that that's a possibility and just let them run with it for a while.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Josh, I don't have the name of the, I want to say Trinity, but that's wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head either.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, we're all into this here with the cemetery. But I thought that was interesting. He said they go out and do a lot of them. Again, it's Rhode Island, but he said that he was pretty sure Massachusetts did the same thing.
I'm betting that's true.
Do you know what the company was named?
It was the Sons of the American Revolution,
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, got it.
which I didn't know such a thing existed. I knew the Daughters of the American Revolution. But
Yeah.
okay, I will
Oh.
send off to the people from that cemetery that I can't remember the name, but
I'm gonna
Hey,
find it
wait,
for you in 2 seconds here.
what is it, Jean?
Maybe they could help me find my relative's grave.
Yep, that would be good. Maybe they can.
They must do like reenactments or some things like that for as well.
Yeah, they could. Okay. Any other old business that anybody has? Okay, moving on, committee liaison reports. I'll start I already gave it for Pickleball Courts, so that's my start. How about just go across the top of my screen here, Harry? Any Concom?
We've got a couple of small projects. The last meeting was only like 20 minutes. The main thing we're focusing on right now is the High Street dam removal. And that's about it.
Mary, what's going on with that one?
Yeah, is that finished yet?
It's slated to be starting next spring. The town manager is still putting out feelers to get some money because he got a grant and it's a matching grant. I wrote a letter of support to Senator Warren for a $5 million grant. I figured we'd go for the gusto. We'll ask for 5. If we get anything, we're ahead of the game. So
So as the
they
town,
want to do infrastructure, so that's part of it.
has the town signed the mitigation agreement?
That I don't know.
Because that's not going to go forward if you don't have that mitigation agreement in
Yeah.
place. And the town's asking that the project pay for any mitigation that's done. They asked the town to pay for it, and basically the ad hoc committee met and said no way. And town manager sent back and said that the proponents would pay for any mitigation. So I haven't heard, that's been 4 months and I haven't heard anything.
So if Senator Warren, if we get a grant, Harry, you sent something to Senator Warren, right? For 5 million, part of the big push for infrastructure. So if we did get that grant, that would go right to the town first. Just like Carlton was saying, it has to be a mitigation, or what was the agreement to do that?
The grant would go to the proponent, which is the state of Massachusetts.
Oh, it'll go to the state first, and then the state would give it to the town.
No, the town will not pay a penny. The grant would be to the state, and the state would manage the project as I understand it. This is not a town
directly.
project. This is not a town project.
Okay, got it.
It's Jennings Hill Cemetery, by the way.
Yes.
That's it, Jennings Hill.
But thank you, Harry, for the comments, because I hadn't heard anything, and I'm not in the loop necessary, but I do know that the last communication was that the mitigation agreement needed to be signed, and I believe the Historical Commission has to sign it. So I haven't heard anything.
Okay, good. Well, it's noisy in my neighborhood. Now in the house, now we have sirens going.
And you're going to hear all my grandkids shortly in the house. So let's move this on,
Okay.
because you don't need to hear from all of them.
Okay, Harry, did you have a second project? You
No,
said okay, just that one. Okay, let's see, Jean, anything with the planning board?
No, I don't think so. Tomorrow,
Okay.
we're doing the review of the bylaws to get them rewritten.
That's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I have to remember that one too. Okay, let's see, Kevin, open space. I know we heard from Janet for the open space. Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, you mean Eileen?
Oh, I'm sorry, Eileen, I'm looking at Janet's thing. Eileen, yeah. Anything else you'd like to add as a committee report?
I
Not at the
don't have
moment.
anything, but
No, I think we're on the same page. We already confirmed our next meeting. And then also, of course, for the walking, as we discussed. So I think that's our focus at the moment. I know we wanted to do the signs for the town parks. But Eileen, we're gonna talk about that in our next meeting, I'm assuming. I take,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, I mean, that's not one of our highest priorities right now, but yes, we will be talking about it at some point.
Right, of course, yeah.
One of the, just quickly on signs, we mentioned before that Jean and I are part of a walking group, and Monday we're at Eel River in Plymouth, and both parts of it, they just have a big sign up, and it's like you are here, and it actually shows all the trails. So something like that's neat too for the signs, but
Yeah.
just something like that. Okay, I think, Carlton, do you have anything from master
Oh,
plan?
the only thing I could report on would be the Tool Park and the fire station project, and I haven't heard anything recently about what's going on there. And we probably wouldn't be involved anyway, so.
Okay, well, we probably should for the tool park, but we'll see. once
Well,
they
they've got
decide what they're doing.
They've got $104,000 in the bank for that one, for any recreation stuff.
True. Okay, I guess it would be, or Park and Rec that would be involved.
Yeah.
Where it was the recreation money, but
Oh,
Okay.
I do have one thing that's not related. We did a site view. We have a developer in town has developed a low wind energy harvesting device that goes on rooftops. And we had a walkthrough today for 3 possible sites for him to put up a full scale unit to get test data on how it performs. And the golf course is the primary location that we want to install it.
oh, good.
So more on that later, but that's an energy committee issue, not a CPC.
Right, okay, that's good, thank you. But in this part, we take any updates from committees that any of us are on. So that's good. Thank you. That's interesting. Okay, I think that's all of us that are here. Okay, next, under, if there's no other old business, new business, we have to reorganize. We're supposed to do it the first meeting of the year, the fiscal year. So we just have, for our offices, we have chair and vice chair. We used to have a treasurer, and I know we've talked in past meetings of having a treasurer, but where reports come right directly from the town, they pay the bills. I don't know if we want to stick with no treasurer or have a treasurer. Looking for thoughts from the committee on that. And we have Josh as an admin, so we're set with that.
We're still defining Josh's admin role a little bit, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he still there?
Yeah,
I
Josh
think
is-
the treasurer.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
Are we still defining the role of your role a little bit?
A little bit, but I'm still here to help with whatever I can.
Okay, I can send more work to you, or Gina can
Send more work.
Yeah, well, just send it right on.
Yeah, always feel
Josh-
free to send me the committee stuff.
Okay, we will. Thank you, Josh.
In
Josh,
terms
what-
of- Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Carl. Well, I just
No.
was gonna ask, Josh, what's your function now with the town?
Right now, I'm working with the committees and assisting with a council clerk position while they fill that position.
Oh, okay, it's like you're filling in for that until they get a. Okay, got it.
Let's face
Yeah.
it, he's the glue that keeps us all together.
I like that.
That's
one.
right. Yes, I agree.
So I would,
Definitely keeps me together.
no treasure, but if I would, if you wanted Gina, I would nominate Gina to be president for the coming year. Chair, I mean.
Oh, we're already doing that. We're already doing the chair
Mhm.
renewal.
So I'd like us to move forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you're opening it to nominations, maybe you should open it first and I can withdraw.
Yeah,
mine.
okay, open nominations for chair.
I nominate Gina.
I'll second that.
Okay.
She's doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't do it without the rest of the committee, and as I lovingly say, it's not said it's just said in a good way, is I've learned to look at things a lot closer with, I call them my Carlton eyes, because Carlton, I can read something and he'll comment on it. And I think to myself, did I just read the same document that he did? So it's my Carlton eyes. I tend to look at different things and look at them different ways than I did before. So I think that the CPC, all of you, are what holds us together.
So I only have one question of you, Gina. Will you accept the election if you are so elected?
I will.
That's
I
the thing.
call the
That's a big question these days.
I call the question. Let's move to a vote.
Okay, vote Josh.
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Jean.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, good. Thank you for the vote of confidence for another year. And again, I couldn't do it without all of you for your help and your input. Okay, next position is vice chair.
Motion for Carlton Hunt to be vice chair.
Okay, I'll second
I'll
that.
second that.
Or third. Okay. Any other nominations?
I'll accept
Okay.
it if you do.
Okay,
I'm
that was
actually
next
enjoying
thing.
the position. I'm enjoying the vice president position.
Okay, good. Okay, Josh, your vote?
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
See,
Kevin,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes,
Jean,
Yes,
thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, good.
the last quick comment on that, and maybe it falls under other, but I'm not sure what our appointment schedule is. I know the admin code says it's a rotating 3-year appointment. I'm not sure where we're at with that, and I can check with the town clerk for if anything needs to be redone by other boards.
Okay, good. Thank you. I was actually thinking of that the other day, how
I'll have her,
everybody's fair goes.
I'll have her look at that and work with town manager's assistant to make sure we're all cycling correctly and all that good stuff.
Okay, and I will officially let the town manager know that we've reorganized. Okay, good. Thank you. Just a couple more things. Next is Memorial Building revised application. There, the town is putting in a revised application for the Memorial Building. We haven't seen it yet. Kim Williams had asked for a meeting with Carlton and myself just to go over the, like what they were thinking of putting it in for the revised application. It got put off, I think once because somebody was on vacation, but then when we rescheduled it, unfortunately, Carlton was the only one that showed up for it. So I'm looking to ask them to, if they're still interested in meeting, just to talk about the revised application and just encourage them to get it in soon. I've no idea personally what they're putting into the revised application. I'm not sure if, Carlton, if you know.
I don't know, but I did send because of the canceled meetings and that kind of stuff, I did send a note to Kim and to Michael regarding what I thought as vice chair they ought to be doing to get us stuff. And I can't, it's been so long now, I can't even remember what it is, but you know, basically one of the things is the 350,000 that we put in for the accessibility with the revised scope, and putting that changing the scope for the accessibility. Is the cost still equal? And they said, we have a memo from Michael that said it wouldn't be a cost thing. And I said, please provide us the comparative cost, so we make sure we have that. And I'm not sure if they're looking for something for the storage, historic document storage in the basement or not, but Kim has not responded and still hasn't set up a meeting. So maybe by the next meeting, we'll have something to look at.
Okay, and I'll write to her too as a follow-up, just to see if she wants to reschedule. Okay, good, thank you. Anything else on Memorial Building? Okay, the other new business, the senior center is, I gave Emily Williams, the director, a eligibility form because they're looking to build an adult playground, redo some of the grounds behind the senior center. So it's not just like a paved area with a big sinkhole in the middle. So they're looking to do work there, put in a bocce court, which I think Kelly Simons from Park and Rec has agreed to help with that, if not build it himself. But I gave them eligibility, excuse me, eligibility form. So we may be seeing something from the senior center too, coming up. Jean, do you have anything to add for the senior center one?
The adult playground, possibly some trails and some community gardening with raised beds so that somebody who's handicapped can garden too.
I like that.
It's not just the handicapped, it's the old people like me. I like my raised bed. But
I
yes.
like mine on the floor.
Bed, yeah, that's good too. Okay, any other new business? Okay, public comment. I think we just have Janet and Eileen here. Comments?
I did chat with Josh. I gave him link for the cemeteries of Bridgewater, since you brought up cemeteries. And it's Jenny Hill Cemetery you were referring to off of High Street.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And Janet, that would be good info
What?
too for the cemetery that your son had done the Eagle Scout project for. I can't remember the name of that one either.
He was, that was the Summer Street Cemetery, the first cemetery by the
Yes,
college. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Okay.
where my son
Yeah.
did his Eagle.
yeah. I knew which cemetery. I couldn't remember what it was called. Wasn't
Yeah,
it like the first cemetery, something like
first
that?
cemetery or Summer Street.
Yeah, okay, good.
My Washburn relatives, thank you for that.
Yeah,
What? I couldn't hear him.
This is Carlton being a bad guy.
Oh,
My Washburn relatives who are in that cemetery, thank you.
no,
And your
okay,
son.
all right.
yeah. I think it's interesting that Carlton, who came from the Midwest, moved here from the Midwest. His ancestors are from Bridgewater.
Yeah,
Very
that's
Bridgewater.
go figure, right? That's kind of odd.
Yeah,
Small
Yeah.
world.
yeah.
My
it sure
grandmother,
is.
who came from Canada, the ancestors lived in Taunton. So,
Wow. Yeah.
It seems like everyone landed here before they branched out.
Mhm,
yeah,
Yep.
West Coast.
mhm.
Yep.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, our next, I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
It's Janet again. I think I'm the
Okay.
only one public, but I was, you were voting on Zoom versus hybrid, and I'm fine with hybrid myself, because there's times when I don't have time to get down there, and it's nice to be able to do Zoom while I'm doing something at home. I've gotten spoiled. So,
I agree. I have too. There's nights that I listen to the council meetings and I'm making supper or doing something else, and I wouldn't
Right.
get to it. Or the planning board, I wouldn't maybe get to it if I couldn't listen to the Zoom.
yeah, so there's an advantage and disadvantage to both, so, but we'll deal with what we have to deal with. But thank
Right.
you.
Right, thank you. Okay, our next meeting date is September 26th. I can't believe it'll be the end of September already.
I'm not ready for summer to end on a.
Me neither, me neither. Okay, if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, Josh, vote, please.
Gina,
Yes,
Carlton,
Yay.
Kevin,
Yes.
Harry,
yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved. The meeting is adjourned.
okay,
you.
thank you, everybody. Now I have to go out and retrieve all my stuff I left outside.
All right. Stay safe.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah.